Good evening, all. As a part of Hans Bei's handbooks chapters presentation, our team members are presenting the chapters which are allotted to them. So far, 3 sessions completed. Now entered the 4th day, and today, just I would like to recap what we have discussed earlier. In the previous chapters that were dealt by our learned teachers, we have discussed certain things like what is research, what is action research, and what are the contents of the action research, and how to explore, and how to explore also we have discussed to some extent. And now we have entered good evening, Lakshman sir.
Sir, good evening. Hello.
Good
Can
evening,
you
sir.
hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. Sorry, I am late for 5 minutes.
Welcome. Today, the presentees are very less in number.
Okay.
I don't know what might be the reason. In the last chapters, we looked at different forms of information and data collection, and during the data collection, what are the steps that we have to follow, and what type of questions that we have to pose to the teachers, to the students, to our colleagues, and all that, and how to finalize the questions, research questions that we have discussed. Now we have entered to a stage that what suppose after doing all this, after exploration of all this, what shall we find, that we have to discuss. Now, as a part of this program, today's sessions, Mr. Ajad Chandrasekhar and P.V. Ramana both are going to present chapter 6 and 7. Chapter 6 is going to be presented by Mr. Ajad Chandrasekhar, who is working as school assistant in English at ZPSS Inugurti of Mahobal district. The topic that he is going to deal with is what do I find. Now I request Ajad Chandrasekhar to present his session. Now, Ajay sir, I have given you worship.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, even
Please.
I'm recording the session. Okay, you can go ahead with your presentation.
Okay. Thank you.
One, Ramana sir, is there any problem with you at your end? Ramana sir?
You need to join with audio, sir. Only problem with this.
Yeah.
Ask him to exit and relog in again.
Okay, I'll talk to him personally. Okay, you go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
One thing, today our super mentor Lakshman sir has joined us.
Hello. Good evening, all. Really, it's a wonderful session. I have heard from TV Rao sir that the sessions were going very well. Due to my personal busy, I couldn't attend the first 2 sessions. I'm very sorry for that. Thank you, Mr. TV Rao sir, and all the participants. I hope your successful journey. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Lakshman sir. Please to review and watch our participants' presentation.
Yeah, I'm watching. Now we can
Yeah,
see
thank
the
you.
screen also, Azad sir.
Right.
Yeah,
So you start,
thank you
sir.
very much. Yeah, thank you very
Over
much, T.V. Rao
to
sir. And
Azad.
yeah. Is it audible, sir?
Yes,
Is my
sir.
audio clear?
It's clear.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Lakshman Mangara sir, Super Mentor, for joining us. And now it's time to start the section, the chapter 6 of exploratory action research. It's all about analysis and interpretation, what Richard Smith says in his handbook. Let's enter into it. Today, I mean, you are going to, the researchers will be able to know about how to analyze and interpret the qualitative and quantitative data. This is the main objective of this whole chapter. Before going to learn about that, what is data analysis? Really, it is a crucial part, and it's the heart of the whole research. Whatever the researcher has done earlier, for means identifying the problem, review of literature, then after the methodology, the procedure, identifying the questionnaire, sample, all after doing all this, the researcher must analyze the data. And after analyzing it, summarize whichever the data collected, he need to summarize it. So it involves the interpretation of the data that is gathered through the use of analytical and logical reasoning to determine the patterns of relationships and trends. This is generalized formula, but our handbook says it's very easy one. Analysis involves the careful review of information in order to help you to draw conclusions and make decisions. This is what our handbook says. And the major thing is in the data analysis, actually very technical activity, because most of the people think about, and it's complicated statistics like F test, T test, chi-square, and other tests. But I hope after learning this chapter, it can actually be relatively simple and ever fun, even fun also. Now let's go. In this, there is a small story about Daniela Gallardo. She has done action research on her children. She's a Spanish teacher, and this is very inspirational and helping to understand important distinction between two fundamentally different kinds of data. One is a quantitative and another is qualitative data. Let's see. First, we will watch this. Before going to the main theme, just watch these questions. What did Daniela find? Here are some of the findings from Daniela's questionnaire. Let's see the first question. Do you like or enjoy speaking English in class? Is it important to you to speak English? Would you like to speak English in future? These are the questions which Daniela posed to her students. They have given in the answer format of, yes, I do. The 20 sample set and more or less 13 sample set, and no, I don't know 5. For the second question, the same manner. Yes, it is 32, not sure 3. No, it isn't 5. Yes, I would 30, not sure 3. No, I wouldn't. These are the 3 questions she made in a questionnaire, and she got the information data from the students. If you look at the questionnaire, you will notice that it's mainly represented from the numbers. Just I'll go back to it. If you go through, these are the questions. The answers, whichever we collected from the students, these are all in numbers you can able to see. 20, 13, 5, 32, 3, 5, 30, 3, 3, like this. So this is what we call a qualitative one. It is called as a qualitative one because the information was in numbers, statistics, or percentages. And it helps us to understand how common and uncommon the situation. Generally, we can say that it helps you to answer questions like how many or how often. Remember these two, that was I was made it as an a colored one, how many, how often. So now the Daniela shared a question with the students, that the information extracted from the students, that is in the form of numbers and percentages. So that is the quantitative. The word itself says that it deals with the quantity, how many students, how often they are doing. So this is called quantitative data analysis. Now we think of these questions. Few more questions are there. What does this data tell us about the students? What doesn't it tell us? What questions might you now want to know? Ask Daniela students. So these three typical questions, quantitative questions. As an English teacher, you will be probably notice that if you go back to that one, the answer questions: do you like? Is it important? Would you like? These all are framed with the helping verbs, right? Which means we are going to get the answers like yes or no questions. Only these are not open-ended; they are close-ended. So they need to give either yes or no. Those are the restricted one. So they provide limited answers for us. So other common quantitative questions starts with like, how much, how many, how long, when. It all indicate us only a number. Remember, that is a number. Of course, we can also collect the quantitative data with asking any other questions. Like for example, you could get a colleague to observe your lessons and to count. You do different things. What kind of the things you do in the class? So this would provide again one kind of quantitative data. Here are Daniela again shared something with us that is further useful question on her questionnaire. Here, the first question is like this: how do you feel at the moment of speaking English? What kind of activities do you like? Would you like to do in English? So here, the question framing. Look at the framing of the question: how and what. Earlier in the quantitative, we have seen that those are framed by the helping words. Here, these are double H questions. We can able to see these questions are called as qualitative questions because that is not asked. These questions are not asking about any number. These are asking about the our people thinking our feelings. So such type of questions are called as open questions, and we can get wide range of answer if you ask this kind of question. And these questions we can gather called as a qualitative data and involving descriptions of feelings, opinions, impressions, qualities. And remember earlier we have how many, how much, how long, when. Now how and why are perhaps the two most common qualitative questions if you are doing a qualitative research, qualitative analysis if you want to. So after identifying a problem is not an issue, we can identify, we will go through, we will collect the data, we'll frame the questions. These all are okay. This can be done with the help of Google or search engines or other things, and we can encourage from anybody. But here, when you are analyzing the data, the researcher should have a knowledge about it, complete knowledge about what is qualitative and what is quantitative analysis. With this data analysis, qualitative data, unlike quantitative data, because visually presents itself as responses, short or longer sentences, or even paragraphs also. But earlier you have seen that for the questions of yes or no only is a single word. But for qualitative analysis, it may be even paragraphs also. They can write any kind of answers. It's because it's open-ended. So remember, one thing is qualitative data analysis, another thing is quantitative data analysis. Quantitative deals with the number and percentages. Qualitative deals with the feelings, opinions, impressions, qualities, and descriptions. Here is again the continuation of that findings. Below the answers are the here the quantitative data basically involves counting, just what we have been discussing about it, and even analyzing the qualitative data on the other hand tends to involve coding, that labeling ideas. So after you just for example, in a single research you can go with the both options. Either you can take one for one category, you can take quantitative, and for other students you can give, for example, two sample groups are there, two experimental groups are there. For that one you can conduct a research with the help of both qualitative we can use and quantitative we can use. Right here, after identifying either we are going with the qualitative or quantitative, next step is the data should be analyzed. In which way? Those are involved with codings, and that is also labeling ideas, so that you can easily group similar ideas together. As a researcher, we need to know for every, we'll go with the example first. For example, consider the following: 4 students written responses to the question. Those are A, B, C, D are the sample, 4 students. The question is, how do you feel about group work? How do you feel about group work? The first student gave the answer, I like that we practice. Second student, I like being relaxed. I like speaking English. I like English conversation with no worry. So when the students are grouped togetherly, what kind of the students' responses are here given? They are, these are called I like, I like, I like, I like. They gave in such a manner, you may get the same answers like this are in some other answers also. So what we have to do when we are analyzing a qualitative data, for that one, you need to know how to code and how to label them and how to categorize them. These are 3 important aspects. We need to go with it. Right here, right. Even though these responses are alternative different words, there are some underlying similarities. These similarities can become clearer if you give a label, also known as a keyword or code, to each separate idea. So this is the thing just now we are discussing. The response is given by the 4 students. We have made it here. So the code label for that answer. In the earlier quantitative data, the responses from the students for the questionnaire, we have made it in the form of number. But here, we can't categorize them because every individual has given the different answers here. Those are not related. But how we are going to analyze them, that is the most important aspect. Here, if you observe, I like that we practice one thing, and here the option at the beginning itself, the answer response is saying that like. So that's what the plus symbol is indicating. For example, I didn't like that we practice in a group or something. For that one, here the code that is actually here, the code is mentioned. The plus symbol indicates the like. If you like it, you can put the plus symbol. If you dislike it, you can put the minus symbol here. Why I'm telling you, this is the symbols made for the researcher's convenience. This is not mandatory to do or put symbols like this. It's up to the researchers, right? So I like that we practice. So the common thing here, the author has taken like as under plus practice is this thing. The same word has taken extracted. I like being relaxed. Again, like is there, so plus relaxed, the verb has taken again. Again, like speaking, plus speaking English. Like English conversation with no worry. So here, like English conversation, so that means nothing but which in conversation is nothing but speaking English. So we have labeled them under speaking English. Conversation comes under speaking only. So like is the plus again. So speaking English is we have categorized or labeled for the to commonize are the answers with every response. So with no worry, again we have added one more label with code plus no worry. So this is the thing when you are as a researcher analyzing the data, you need to remember these things, especially qualitative data, which is very complicated one while analyzing it, because the researchers need to make some his own coding, labeling and categorization. So you need to have an idea or knowledge about that those options, whichever you are the responses you have taken from the students. Here the researchers can invent codes and symbols if you want. You can use the symbols like plus for like, minus for dislike. Just now I already told you about this. Generally data plus analysis equal to findings. What the findings are nothing but whatever the data we have extracted from the students, that plus and analyzing that is we will get the findings. However, findings doesn't speak about themselves, so something more is necessary, and that is to interpret the findings. So in this chapter, majorly the author has focused one thing is data analysis. In that one is quantitative and qualitative, and next thing is interpretation. After data analysis, we need to interpret the data. So sorry. So how we can interpret? Generally, what is interpret means to decide that something has a particular meaning and to understand it in this way. So here are some a small example shown. To interpret the findings, you need to ask yourself a few questions. So what? The answers the student has given in such manner, like I like that we practice. I like being relaxed. I like speaking English. Conversation with no worry. So what? What do the findings tell me about my research questions? The researcher should have to question himself. What do the findings tell me about my research question? What do I know about this now that I didn't know before doing the question and after doing the question? So how do these feelings relate to my findings from other source? So these are the questions the researcher should have to question himself. Here are one more thing I would like to share before you. Here are 8 different students' answers during a class discussion about the teacher's main concern and research question. The researcher use the student's mother tongue Spanish in the classroom? Should I use the student's mother tongue? We can put it as a Telugu or something that researchers has put in that. So the answers are, when we struck, response has given in such a manner. When we struck, I think use Spanish can support. So here, responses, coding, and lab categorizing. Code label and categorization. So for each and every responses, for example, A, B, C, D, these are the 8 sample the researchers has taken and the responses they have given. So here, when we struck, I think use the Spanish use the Spanish can support. When our mother tongue is used, it is better in terms of understanding. Using mother tongue reduces my interest in the lesson. If we don't understand, speaking Spanish is better. So these are the responses given by the students. After giving the responses, we need to put some codes to it. Already we have spoken about that plus symbol indicates the positivism and minus indicates negative. So I mean like and dislike as in the manner. So here almost all if you see plus as Spanish understanding, Spanish is understanding, Spanish is understanding. Some other negative also there, reduces interest, slow lesson, and boring, better learning. So we need to categorize under Spanish as support, Spanish as support. When the students would like to use a Spanish in mother tongue, Spanish can help to the students. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 responses is in a positive manner. 1, 2, 3, 4 in negative manner. We need to mix up with all this positive under one category and the negative on one category. When we are analyzing it, when we are writing interpretation, we need to write in such a manner. This will go for the interpretation of the quantitative data. So in this chapter, one more thing we have already spoken. Qualitative data, quantitative data needs to be interpreted. It doesn't just speak for itself. So numbers and percentages give us you some information about your question. That is quantitative. We have already numbers and percentages. Remember once again, here one example. Lenora was concerned about the students' lack of participation in listening tasks. Lack of participation in listening tasks. One of the things that she was to go and get her students' views and preferences through a questionnaire. She organized her students' answer in a table. Look at this, the core questions. What do you think about the audio topics? Which activities do you like best? How clear are the teacher's instructions? These are the questions. So the students have given different answers, very interesting, not interesting enough, not interesting at all. So this is like a, like a scale, but here the responses for very interesting 26, interesting 28, not interesting 14, not interesting at all 8. So if you observe this, the only thing you need to remember while interpreting the data whichever we have been collected, that is under quantitative, because the numbers, it is showing the numbers, right? So after when we are doing research under quantitative manner, that is very easy for us because there are lots of statistics and HPSS softwares are there. Just if you enter the data, it simply gives the pure total results. No need to, the researchers shouldn't worry about any kind of thing, doing this thing and that thing. Just enter the details in it and it will show. For example, you look at this bar chart in the table, like one of the previous page, you can see what are the highest and the lowest, and even clearer, very interesting. So most of the highest percentage for interesting, highest responses for here. So with this we can interpret the data. Not interesting is very less percentage. That means audio topics are very not very interesting, very interesting. The next level is very interesting. So in such a way we can interpret the data with the help of. And here one more thing, we can use another chart, pie chart. The second question, which activities do you like best? So most of the students have given as songs, for 63% of student, I mean very high number of students given they like songs, and 36% films. The students 36% like films. And course book activities, see only 1%, very less percentage. A large number of students, 63% has given songs are the best and they like best, and the films second. The very least, a few number of few number 1% course book activities they would like to do. This is nothing but the chart already have just entered those data into that and made a chart, so it can be displayed in this manner and we can interpret it very easily because it's a quantitative, sorry. Here one more third question is, how clear are the teacher's instructions? If it is the clear instructions is clear, very clear, you can see the top, the highest peak is in very clear, the second is clear, clear enough, third here, not clear at all, very low. So almost all the teacher's instructions have reached to many people, high number. So very clear, the instructions are very clear. Only an average students have very clear, and below average clear enough, and very few students, very less students said that not clear at all in the line chart. So I would like to move on because the time is running out. By looking at each chart, you are able to see easily the strongest preference of peaks, like mountains. We have just we'll go back here. See the highest peaks we can see in the.
1 minute, Ajay sir. If suppose the meeting ends, join with the same code again.
Right.
All of you.
Yeah. So here in the aspect ratio, which is high, and here the bar is also high. These three things shows us the peaks, and this enables us. So what the question, whatever we have, the researchers should have to make himself. So the answer has got. But here, Lenora's case, she was able to notice that her students' views regarding listening task were positive. This was not what she had expected. And then she felt she still do not know why students' participation was low during listening tasks. Earlier results were showing that everything is in a highest manner. Only very few students have given the less answers. So again, therefore, she decided to analyze the findings from the focus group discussion to gain further understanding. So this is done by the Lenora. And so after listening to this, maybe this chapter showed us as to make sense of the data, and you can understand the situation better, why the activity is successful, why the particular problem happens, and what our learners think about something we do, how to analyze the data and interpret the data that we can gain from this chapter 6. So that's all for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ajay sir. Wonderful presentation. You made it very clear that how the data should be analyzed. The analysis of data is a very crucial stage in our research program. It will help us to move into an action, to take a decision how our process should be, how we have to go for further action research. So this is very much needed. So before conducting the action research, first we need to pose questions